All right, everybody, last second, clear your throat. Get ready. It's about to be showtime.
Let me clear my throat.
And Aaron, remind me, what episode are we on? Is this 7?
007? Oh, 007!
Woo! Cool. All right, everybody, welcome to Talk of the Trades, episode 007. We have a very special guest, or guest today, I should say. So, friendly face joining us, obviously, always Aaron. Then we have Ben, one of our founders and our visionary here at Leadhub. And then somebody who's especially close to our hearts here at Leadhub, responsible for all the beautiful spirit animal readings we get, Julie Marvin, aka the Spirited Raven. Hello, Julie. How are you?
Hello. Good. Happy to be here.
Awesome. And before we get started, let's formally reveal everybody's. I put mine in my name here. So over here. So Aaron, what's your spirit animal?
I am a bear.
Okay. Rawr. Ben?
I am a snake, a green tree python.
Okay, very nice. And Julie, I'm assuming you're a raven because of the Spirited Raven, but I don't want to assume.
Correct. I am a raven. Yes.
Okay, awesome. And for everybody out there listening, so Julie Marvin is a big part of the culture here at Leadhub. And one thing that we do that's pretty special is we get everybody's spirit animal read as part of their onboarding process. We've done this for clients. We've done this for family members. And it's just a really cool thing that we get to do. And I know, Julie, I reached out to you personally not too long ago to get my dad's spirit animal read, who'd passed away. And he was a fossa, and it was an animal I'd never heard of, but literally the reading brought me to tears, and it was such a beautiful thing. And I think you, through your gifts, you've been able to do that for so many people. And so just kind of, talking about this gift you have, I know from doing our research that, at a very young age, this was kind of something that lived inside you, and, you kind of kept it to yourself for a while. So what did that look like early on, and kind of when did you first discover this kind of unique talent that you have?
Yeah, I think early on, I've always been drawn to animals. I've always watched them. I've always kind of just been wanting to, just see them, study them. I remember even as a little girl, like going to summer camp, it would be like, I grew up in San Diego. And so there was the San Diego Zoo and the safari park. And it was like, my parents put me in those things, and I was just fascinated with animals. And so at a young age, I know I was, have always been drawn to animals. And I think as I've grown older, I know that I'm an empath, and I connect with people and read energy. And, it kind of all started getting really clear kind of the older I got. I lost my other half to pancreatic cancer.
Oh, no.
And I was trying to kind of connect with him from the other side, and really started to do more meditation and just getting very clear in my mind and in my heart. And kind of when I started doing more of that, it's when it was kind of like a light switch went off. So yeah. I remember one incident. It was so clear. I was at the grocery store, and this man was getting oranges, and I just kind of like paused and had this moment where I saw him kind of morph into this owl. And it was like, oh, what is happening? What am I doing? And little by little, it just, the more I kind of tapped into it, if you will, it just kind of started. And then I would do friends and family, and I get pictures. People would send me pictures all the time. What am I? What is he? What is she? I want to know. And so it kind of just started that way. And then obviously the more I connect with myself, it has kind of branched into this little side business that I do. And
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's so very cool. So, you've probably read dozens of people, or hundreds of people, who is somebody like that kind of stands out to you that maybe was like famous, or some sort of animal that was like very interesting to you?
Well, I will say snow leopards are very intriguing to me. They are very private, and I seem to, every snow leopard that I have read, they have this very dark, private secret. And I seem to tap in on that, and it kind of spooks them a little bit.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way, but it's like, oh boy, she can see it, and they tend to be a littler on the icier side, a little cooler.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. I think definitely that's one that kind of has always been, it attracts me, because I'm always like, I want to know more. What are they hiding? Why are they hiding this? It's, and being a raven, that's part of my
That's
thing.
what I was gonna say. Aren't
Kind of
ravens
the
a little
detective.
dark and mysterious themselves? And
Yeah.
very, very smart, I've heard, as well. So
Yes. Yeah, more, the detective, I want to find out, and I'm a bird, so I see things from a higher perspective and that type of thing. And then I think, as far as like famous people, I will say Hunter Pence, who used to be with the San Francisco Giants. He is a mountain goat, and we've kind of laughed about this, because he's like, I didn't even know what a mountain goat was. Like, what is that? And, they literally walk on the side of a mountain, and he sees things very differently, in a positive way, but just has a very different way of looking at things. So that's probably been one of my favorites to read as well. So.
cool. Another thing that we're always big into is just, from a culture perspective, just compatibility, like at our leadership level and our management teams. And so when you do these readings, are there any specific animals that are a little more compatible with each other, or some that might not be compatible? And you got to understand, like, working with those people, just be extra aware.
Yeah, I would say, when you get to kind of know, like birds, for example, if you have a room full of birds, you need a really big office, because they need a lot of space to think and kind of spread their wings, and they're all going to see things from a higher perspective. Whereas, maybe a hippo or a cow or an elk like yourself, very grounding, your earth animals. So you need to be kind of, grounded, and that's where you're going to get your mojo, your energy from. And then you have like your water animals. You've got your fish or dolphin or crabs, and they're a little bit more emotional. So when you're working with, a lot of water animals, it might be a little bit more dramatic sometimes, because of the emotions that.
What do you think about us? Because we have an elk, a bear, and a snake here. Like, I feel like we could all get around. Like, I could scratch Aaron's back with my antlers. Ben could just kind of hang out, up there and chill. Like, what does our compatibility factor look like?
I love that. No, I think it's great, because bears, Aaron is the leader. Bears are a leader. Very
naturally
powerful energy. However, the insides, what I see in my interpretation, is they're actually kind of shy, and they kind of want to go and hibernate. And it's kind of like they go and they do what they have to do, and they go hard, but then they really want to retreat and kind of, just step back and sleep and eat, honestly, and kind of want to be left alone at times. Which is fine. And then that's where you, as the elk, I would say, you're always on watch out. You're always on guard, right? So you don't miss a thing. You're laser focused with everything that's kind of going around, and you're very still, and you kind of absorb a lot of that energy. And then Ben, the snake over there, he's, I would say, shedding that skin and transforming into all these new businesses and new ideas, and he's on to the next thing and kind of laying that path for the next chapter.
Very cool. Yeah, and so two of our other partners, we have a shark who's Maria, and then we have Ryan, who actually has two different spirit animals, because every year he reaches out to you and hopes that he has something different. So his first reading was an earthworm, right? And then I think he got that read again, and you were like, "You're still an earthworm." And then he was like, "No, Julie, like, please, I desperately want to be something else." And then it came back, and he was a cricket. So he was still
Okay.
not satisfied. And then about a year ago, we pranked him at the office and said, "Hey, Ryan, we got your spirit animal read again by Julie. Are you ready? You're gonna love this one." And we revealed it to him, Julie, and we said he was a mosquito, and he about died. And nobody told him we were joking for a good 4 or 5 hours. So literally, he was going around. He's like, "Can you believe it, guys? I'm a mosquito." Like
That's
it was
funny. I
so
love
funny.
it. It's
Yeah.
that just that little in your ear, not going away. Yeah.
And
And I
he's
always say
kind of.
that, what?
I was gonna say, I think he's mostly like that for Aaron. I would say, like
Got
he's
a lot of
done.
ideas.
Yeah, and so when you first gave the reading for Ryan, they had a housewarming party that weekend, and he was walking up to his little herb garden and was just like bragging, talking about how amazing it was. And I'm like, you are such an earthworm. And that was a part of it. Like he loves the
Yes.
soil and growing things. And so it's so
Yes.
true. I mean, when some of these readings are so accurate, it just amazed me. And that's why I was also very drawn to you, because it's so accurate.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely a unique gift. And like I said, I really don't know anyone else who does that. Like I know there's oracle cards that have, animals, or like an app that'll shuffle things and like, oh, you're a lion or a tiger or whatever. But I think for me, it really helps me tap into that pure energy when I'm aligned. And kind of when I do a reading, I get a picture, and I set my space, if you will. So
Yeah.
I'll have a candle and I sage the room, kind of neutralize all the energies, and just kind of get in my zone. And then it just kind of appears to me that this person kind of fades into this animal and they take over that energy. And then that's when I kind of do the reading. So it's very unique. And for a long time, I'm actually pretty shy. I don't like to really talk about myself or this. I wasn't quite sure, but the more I saw that, it just really made people happy. And, people would say, people cry. It's very emotional for them. And I think it's because they feel like, wow, someone has actually seen me, like not the outside of me, not the looks, not that, but like someone has seen my insides. And that's very powerful. So
Yeah, that's such a beautiful thing. And Ben talked about like the accuracy of it. Like I am deeply in love with my spirit animal. And like now, anytime I see like a mounted, deer or elk, like I'm crying inside because I'm like, oh my God. But we live in Texas, and so it's like everywhere. But what happens when somebody is like, nah, that's not me at all? There's like no way. Like I know Aaron has told the story about one of his friends who came back that was like a butterfly, and the guy was like vehemently like, no, I can't be a butterfly. Yet he's this, guy that's in high fashion. And, it seems like it would make a little bit of sense.
Yeah, it's funny. The two butterflies I know, I think there are three. Two of them are attorneys. One of them was him.
Okay.
And then the other one is Gianna Edric's wife, who does the whole Brows by Gianna, very well known in the area here. But yeah, curious to hear about it, because that's
the beautiful people.
The beautiful people.
They're beautiful people and very colorful, and see things in kind of a different light as well, and changing. So remember, they're from the caterpillar to the it's a metamorphosis of where they're getting and how they've gotten to where they get. And it's not always easy. They've had to definitely go through some obstacles. But when they get to kind of the end of the finish line, it's like they're this beautiful butterfly that, we all love butterflies. Like they're just colorful and peaceful. And yeah, it's pretty cool. But sometimes people are, I always say pause when you get your animal. Again, this is my interpretation, and it's not what you look like. It's not, anything of like I said, like picking a card. This is what I'm reading, your energy. So I have had someone, I don't hear, most people actually really like it. It just kind of takes them a minute to process it after they get through the an animal, if you tell a female she's an elephant, and that's like, what? I'm fat, I'm big. And it's like, no, let's calm down and let's talk this through, right? So you actually, elephants have a very big presence. They walk into a room, they're very slow, they're very grounding, they just have this beautiful, peaceful energy around them. And they're a leader. They're just they're magical, actually. So it's pretty cool. And then it's like, oh, okay, it's the same thing as if like you said, you tell a guy he's a butterfly, and it's like, wait, what? Or some of these athletes, like, what? I don't want to be a ladybug. What is that? So
or in our case, an earthworm, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I've got an elephant in one of my forums for EO, and it talks a lot about wisdom, long-term memory, family oriented, and there have been some things that's happened in his life over the last 5 to 7 years with his family that you just feel the passion anytime he talks about whether it's extended family or his daughter, his granddaughter, and he's just like, okay, you didn't want to be an elephant, 2.5 years ago when I told you, but I see it. I see this.
But you totally are.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Stomping around.
Yeah. And I always say that because a lot of times people ask, well, do I have more than one, or what do you see? So I usually say you have the primary animal. I am going to be a raven through and through. That doesn't mean that I might not have times of, oh, wow, I'm in snail energy today because I'm really tired and I'm mentally, kind of brain fog and slow, or, you're coming out of a sickness, or so you might tap into that. There's other times where, let's say Aaron, who is the bear, right? Maybe he needs to tap into some hummingbird energy where he needs to get moving. Like, come on, let's put it in, high gear and go. So it's kind of tapping into, again, the energies. That's where it takes you. So,
And Julie, have you noticed in moments in time you've been visited by animals that was a message that, hey, you're supposed to either kick it into gear, or there's a message they're bringing?
Absolutely. Like bumblebees, bees, it's like out of nowhere. Sometimes you'll start seeing these signs, right? Or animals. And when you are grounded and you're tapping into this, it's like, oh, this is interesting. What is this? Why have I seen 4 bumblebees today? Well, they're money makers. They are making the honey, and it's a money sign for me. So I attribute that. Yeah. So things like that. But I had a client yesterday. She actually emailed me. She's a heron. And she said, I just had to email you and tell you this, but I'm driving in South Carolina and I saw 5 herons today. And she was golfing in Hilton Head. And she said, I reached down to get a golf pick or something. I'm not a golfer, so I don't know, but she reached down. Yes, that was it. Yeah. And she said, I picked it up, and she said there was a heron on it. And I said, I love to hear those stories, because to me, it's just, you're in alignment. And it's like, that's just kind of the universe's way of being, like, you're good. You're in your happy place. You're with like-minded people. You've seen your herons. It's kind of a sign that you're on the right track. So
that's really cool. What can people, I guess, learn about their connection between their human form and their spirit animal form? What are some things that are helpful there for us to understand?
Yeah, I think it's just, knowing your characteristics of whatever animal you are, tapping into that when you're maybe not feeling the best, or you're not grounded and you're kind of all over the board. It's like, really kind of go into that animal, or like I said, look at pictures of that animal, and something usually will resonate. And it's kind of like, oh yeah, I can do this, or, it just kind of shifts the energy. So I always say, just really try to tap into that. And again, if you're a water animal, or are supposed to be near the water, a lot of times full moons will bring extra emotions. so tap into that, go to the water, go or take a bath, or, go put your feet in the river, or wherever you are, or whatever you can do to be around, water and things like that. I think just help connect you to your animal/human form.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, since I got my animal reading, I've been wanting to see a elk so bad, like in real life, and I've yet to. But the day I do, you better be sure I'm going to email you and say, "Oh my God, Julie, I just saw
it. I love it.
Yeah.
Talking about gifts, like Ben is an amazing gift giver, and when he connected us with you, it's just such a cool gift that can be given. And something that also sticks out is like, my sister-in-law is a dragonfly, and it talks about going to the water. And in Houston, when we talked to her about it, she had some rough times in Houston acclimating them to a move. And she'd always just go to the water. She'd always drive down to Galveston. She'd go an hour and a half out of her way to go be near the water, whether it was a lake or an ocean. And just revealing that to her just meant so much. And we had no idea. We were wondering about dragonfly. Okay, is she going to hate it? Is she going to,
Right.
But it meant something deeper to her. And those stories we get time after time when we give this gift to people.
Oh yeah. I reached out to Julie, I don't know, about a month and a half ago. And I kept seeing my grandmother, like I was praying and I would just feel her energy. And I never got to make peace because she passed away right before 9/11. And I was in the military and wasn't able to be there. And it was tough. It was a very tough moment in my life. And I kind of buried those emotions. And I reached out to Julie and found out she was a canary. And so since then, it's just, I see birds differently, and it's just, her reading was so accurate. And but it is a treasure. I mean, to be able to even do that for my grandmother, who was like my person, back from 01, was the last time I've seen her.
Yeah.
And to still be reconnected in a sense is so amazing. So
yeah. And we talk about, I think it's personally the coolest gift. Like, we've done this for clients, we do it for family members, and it's so unique. Like, no one ever like expects it. And especially if they get like a really cool animal, it's such an awesome thing. And just quick plug for Julie. And you have like the best domain probably possible for this business, but it's animalspiritreadings.com. So if you want a gift, or, you want to get your animal spirit read, definitely reach out to Julie, and we'll plug your email and stuff later. But when you're giving this like as a gift, or you're revealing it to somebody, like, is there a way that like we should go about it? Or because like usually we just like blurt it out, we're like, oh, Dennis is an elk, and then this is like what it is. But like, what do you think the best way is to kind of like reveal it? Is there any sort of like ceremony or something that you can do to make sure it's really just impactful?
Yeah, I would say like I do a lot of like corporate events or like yearly meetings for corporate offices, and it's kind of a team building exercise. So usually I'll get the picture and I'll send the reading, and then they'll all sit around and like put it up on the on the screen of like, who's the alligator in the room, and read the reading, and then everyone's it's kind of interactive. And then when they reveal who it is, it's like, oh, she's the alligator. And then a lot of times they'll make like a little stuffed animal or a little trinket of whatever animal they are. And it really just it's a good kind of icebreaker. It's fun, and it just kind of brings people together. And even if you're not super into any of this, or you're not spiritual, like, what is this? It still just lightens everything. And it's always very positive. So that's kind of what I would say for like corporate events. And I've done a lot of like girls' weekends, bachelorette parties, where they'll give gifts as readings for them, and then they're all together, and somebody reads them all. And I mean, there's tears, there's crying. It's pretty emotional. So holiday gifts, Christmas presents, I do a lot for that, where like families are all, it's connecting, it's connecting people, whether you're at work or it's your family or friends. Actually did a bachelor party once too, and that was pretty cool. So
doubling down on that. When we first did it at Leadhub, we did it with the whole team, and you were just on the speakerphone, and the way we had 13 team members maybe at the time, and you'd read the reading and we all look around. It's like, of course, Edric's the panda. Like we knew with that reading. Yeah. Albert's another one that he's is it a meerkat, I believe, or
he's a meerkat.
Meerkat. Yeah. And his family's down in the valley, and he always talks about his family, and he's like the guy that wants to always be around his family, but he's a few hours away. And the whole reading is about like family is everything to this person. And that sounds like very broad. We're sure for everyone, family is important, but no. Like there's a clear differentiator as far as like how he's wired. And it was, I think, just a really cool move, especially for me as a skeptic of everything. And I'm a critic of anything. I like to be in my hibernation station, believing nothing is true until I really see it. It was really, it won me over immediately. It was so cool doing it as a team.
Well, and you're a bear.
And that's easy.
Yeah. Come on, Aaron. Yeah, you're a bear. That's yes.
And he is a leader. You know, he is the lead in Leadhub. I'm the hub. He's the lead, and it's true.
Heck yeah, that's very cool. I never thought about it that way, Ben. But now that you say it, Aaron's the lead, and you're the hub. That's cool.
Yeah.
Love it.
I think just overall, it just really gets people to kind of tap into their, my words, but something usually will resonate within them. And, it kind of just, I always say, just kind of pause. And sometimes it takes a few days to kind of marinate and, like absorb it all. But I think it definitely gets people thinking. And then, like I said, when you see your animal or, you're standing at the car wash or whatever, and you look down and you see a card of there's a pig on it or something. It's like, oh my gosh, and you start to see the signs and kind of the universe talking to you that you're in alignment and things like that. So I think it's just kind of helping people feel like they've been seen, which I've had a lot of people in dark places, not good space, that have gotten their animal, and it's really kind of given them, a refreshing kind of new outlook on things. Like, oh, I am going to tap into this, and I do want to change, or I'm going to use this animal's energy to help me, get out there, do whatever challenge they have to face a little bit stronger. So,
well, I guess it was about 10 years ago when we first got connected. And so my brother, Brooks, connected us, and he called me up out of the blue and was like, dude, you're a snake. I was like, what did I do? Like, what's this all about? And he was like, no, you're a spirit animal. And he explained it. I read it, and it took me a while because I was always afraid of snakes. I didn't grow up liking, pythons or snakes in general. Right. I actually grew up reading about jaguars, mountain lions, and then as a combat controller in the military, our call sign was jaguar.
Oh, cool.
His favorite animals were pythons. So he was so excited that I was a python, and I was like, it makes perfect sense. You're the jaguar. And I grew up loving jaguars, and he was a python guy. But it took me a minute. Like you said, like I had to process it because I was like, I'm not a snake. Like I called people snakes if they were being bad.
Right.
But you're right. It's the energy. And I am like charting that path ahead, shedding my skin, and a spiritual person.
Yes, very much so. And the serpent, the snake represents medicine, anything healer, things like that. So
non-poisonous. I'm a friendly.
Non-poisonous. Correct. Exactly.
I can choke you out if they're my people.
And you're always talking about wellness. So I mean,
that's true.
The one thing that we also, or another thing we have in common, is our daughters haven't accepted their spirit animal yet. I know mine is a lion, and she still thinks that she wants to be like a unicorn or a kitty cat. And I think yours is a duck.
Holly was the same up until about 2 years ago. She was like, nope, I'm a unicorn. But she now is like 100%. She knows she's a duck.
Nice.
And she's accepted it. And watching her, like the little issues that pop up, she's a gymnast, she's at school, little girls say things back and forth, and she just like lets it fly right off. And I love it. I mean, she is such, and she's also great in the water. Ducks can fly, and so it's a beautiful animal, and she's totally bought in, accepted it. Anytime I see anything duck, I'm like, I'm buying it for her.
I'm getting it.
I want to see it around the house.
I love it. Yes, it's just all about connection and, being true to yourself. And I always say, like, you do you, whatever form that is, you trust that inner stuff that's inside of you that everybody feels, or, the little voice on your shoulder. It's like, trust your intuition. And somehow this kind of helps people, if they're not totally into it, kind of just, like I said, pause and see things a little bit differently, and just be seen. I think a lot of people, it's touching for them. So
yeah, certainly have had major impact, here at Leadhub for sure. And so what are you, kind of what is next for you, Julie? I know you do, a lot of stuff for us, but do you have anything kind of cooking up that, where you're going to take this thing?
Yeah, I am working on updating kind of my website right now, and I'd like to add in compatibility with animals. So I get asked that a lot, and I would love to really tap in and get a little bit more focused on that. It's fun because once you have your spirit animal, then it's like, well, what's next? And well, okay, so I'm a raven. Well, how is that if I'm, with a frog, and am I going to swoop down and, pick them up and eat them, or how's that going to work? So it's the compatibility part that's kind of the next layer, if you will.
Nice.
So I really want to focus on that. And then, just corporate events, holiday parties. I've done a lot of those, and really just, kind of focus on those and larger groups. I think it's just really fun, and people have a great time with that. So that's what I'll be working on this year. So
we need to find a good artist to collab with, because when you do families, doing like a custom painting, I think would be cool. So we got to round out this team, but we're going to help you as well on the website. And we want to give you 1 million referrals, because you are a part of our team, but you're a special friend. We share a lot of friends, and you're just someone that I care about as well. So,
thank you guys. You all know you mean the world to me, and it's been such a fun process through all these years of just connecting and having fun. And I love to hear about just the comments and about like your dad, the fossa, it was like, it's pretty cool. So makes me feel good to, to spread the joy, and looking forward to many more years with you guys. And
well, one of our work perks here at Leadhub is that on your work anniversary, you get a spirit animal reading on us. And so that's why we're always constantly hitting you up. And
I love it.
Because I mostly get to see them all. And so when we get to share them with people, it's a lot of fun, because they're like, oh my God, like that's so accurate. And so it's very, very cool. Well, awesome. Julie, thank you so much for, joining us today on the podcast. So if people want to find you, they can obviously go to your website, animalspiritreadings.com. Can I plug your email real quick?
Sure.
Yeah. So it's thespiritedраven48@gmail.com. You also have Facebook, so you can find her there as well. And we'll include all of her contact information in the show notes. And just can't thank you enough, Julie, for the impact you've had on our culture, and excited for what the future holds for you.
Thank you so much.
So awesome. Take care. We'll see you.
So good to see you, Julie.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
You too.